Welcome back, I'm Tedward, and welcome to the 2022 Lexus LC500 Convertible. If this is not on your dream car wish list, it better be soon. It's got 471 horsepower from its naturally aspirated 5-liter V8, powering the rear wheels with a 10-speed automatic transmission. It's a little grandpa because it's a Lexus, however, it makes the most incredible snarling barks you've ever heard. The LC500 takes a lot of interior and exterior styling cues from the LFA, so I think that's why we like it so much from a design perspective. But also, I feel like this is the proper spiritual successor to the Supra, more so than the current actual successor to the Supra that's a Toyota-BMW collaboration. And we've got a 245 section tire up front and a 275 section rear tire to keep this thing planted and from getting too sideways. With the convertible version, you lose quite a bit of practicality in the trunk. So let's open this up. And it would be a little tricky to fit more than a thin golf bag and maybe a thin piece of luggage in here. But I had my luggage from a flight in here the other day and it did just fine. But just know that you're not gonna carry everything. This is probably not just your primary car. It might just be the car you've got at the lake house or the beach house. Inside though, it is just staggering. I am absolutely in love with the appearance of this car. And there's so many cool styling cues, one of which I find really wild, which is this door handle. It's almost like it's unfinished. There seems to be like there should be a shroud around this, but there isn't, and I love it. The gauge cluster looks like an LFA, and we've even got our controls up here for Sport and Sport Plus mode up here that we just twist, very similar to an LFA. And I know most of you probably haven't driven one, but I'm sure you've seen POVs of them from myself or others, and this cabin just feels so familiar. But before we go out for a ride, I want to show you under the hood. This seems like a dying breed, a proper NA V8. And it's shameless because, sure, there are faster cars, but the character of this engine is exactly what you want in your Grand Touring sports car. It's beautiful under here. One of the cool things is that Lexus and Toyota, of course, very concerned with safety. And for pedestrian safety, there's actually these little explosive charges that will blast up and push the hood up, so that way a pedestrian slamming on your hood is not just putting their teeth in your engine block. So that's pretty wild. There's actually charges on the inside over here as well. But let's start it up and listen to this exhaust. Back here, we get an unmuted rumble from this exhaust. It's wonderful. It's a little Lexus when it comes to the chrome shrouds. It would have been cool to just have exhaust pipes coming straight out of there and really showcasing that, but that's fine. We understand the design language of the vehicle. So you may have noticed a cool supercharged V8 convertible Jag next to me, and guess who's driving that today? It's the Topher!
What's up, guys?
Congratulations, we're not the same person.
Yes, that would be impossible because we're both here.
So we're gonna follow the Topher on his typical test route. Put it in gear, it's an over and down, and away we go. We'll pop this into Sport Plus mode. One of my gripes with this car is that this tach goes up to 9,000 RPM, but it's really only like a 7,500 RPM redline. We'll play with the paddles in a minute. One of the beautiful things about this car is the shape really helps airflow, and that means you essentially get no air buffeting, no wind buffeting in this thing. So you can really drive it as a convertible with the top down all the time, and it's very comfortable. You can already tell this transmission is going to be maniacal. Let's get it out to a more open road and play with it. Jag has got legs, man. It's tough to keep up in this car because this does push just a little bit more than that. You know, it's, oh my goodness, 10 speeds. Crazy. We'll go back into normal drive mode and let it figure itself out. But look at this, 80 miles an hour on the highway, just cruising. A little bit of wind noise, but the top is down, but I am not getting any wind buffeting. It's incredible. You put these windows up and it's just a magical thing to be in. What's wild though is how this thing holds a corner. You can tell it's dancing a little bit. It's really neutral, but it's obviously a bit nose heavy. So it does give you a bit of push on that on-ramp when you're really going hard. So you're gonna have to fight a touch of understeer. You can back off the throttle and it'll rotate for you just a bit though. But my goodness, does this thing just hang on in a corner. It'll hold its own, even up against like a proper sports car like an F-Type. I never like being behind trucks like this in a convertible on the highway because it's just gonna come into the cabin and if anything flips out of there. Not my favorite thing in the world. If we pop it down into comfort mode, the adjustable dampers do a good job of smoothing out the ride, although it's not very harsh even in Sport Plus. It just firms it up a bit more so you can take that corner. But here we go again. Cracks this thing makes are just wild. We'll let him run for a second. Do you hear the tones of that when you short shift it, when it shifts at lower RPM? It's incredible, and it's so fast. The fact that this is not a DCT, this is not a dual clutch transmission, is really outrageous how quick this thing shifts. Dinosaur. I just can't get over this. Ready? This car has the greatest rev limiter of all time. Ready? Second gear. It's amazing. The beauty of this LC is that it's so comfortable, it's so usable, it's so practical, and it's so luxurious and well built, and it's also pretty athletic. More athletic than you'd think, more athletic than you would give it credit for just by looking at it at its size. Aston Martin wishes they had this build quality. I'm just gonna say it. Like, you get an Advantage which costs, 2-3 times more than this car, and it's rattling. There's just pieces all over the place. It seems incohesive. This thing is built like a tank. It is so incredible. There's just not a sound coming from it other than the beautiful orchestra of this V8. You don't get rattles and things all over it. Today's one of those days where I really appreciate my job. I've got one of my best friends in the whole world in front of me in a Jag with a supercharged V8 making all kinds of noises under bridges. And I'm driving an LC500. It's the best thing in the world. I gotta say, I know sometimes a Lexus badge does not scream sports car, but this deserves every bit of it. What could be better than driving with your buddy on a beautiful day in a rear-wheel drive, naturally aspirated V8. Oh, and a reliable one at that. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive. Thanks to the Topher for having me out to Michigan to play with some cars this weekend. Man, oh man, I'm in heaven. I'll see you in the next one. I've got to get used to the fact that this is a 10 speed. You know, it feels so crazy to put it in 10th gear with a paddle shifter. That's so bizarre. But it means that when you got to go back down the gears, it's a long way to go. Oh, that's good stuff.